I'm joined by Sky News host, the National Affairs Editor at the Daily Telegraph, James Morrow, and our political reporter from Canberra. You saw him just then, Cam Redden. Well, welcome to you both. Cam, it's the biggest story around the world today. Confirmation now, of course, of this ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas. Take us through what's been announced and the reaction of our politicians here.
Yeah, it's been just about universally welcomed, Peter, as you can imagine. President Biden, Prime Minister Albanese, though, both making the point today that this does not mean the war is over. It just means there's now a more concrete pathway towards peace. And it all hangs on this first of three phases, a 6-week pause to fighting, at which time Hamas will release a third of the hostages. Australia, the US, many others wanted all hostages out straight away. That's not part of this deal. It will be a staggered approach. So 33 at first, and there'll be more aid going into Gaza as well. During that 6-week period, that's when talks will start about a permanent ceasefire. Nobody knows exactly what the details of that will be yet, and it's only after we get to that point that the world will start looking at rebuilding Gaza and getting to some point where a Palestinian state could be governed without Hamas. I guess from a local perspective too, Peter, the hope really is that this deal today will put an end to some of the community unrest and some of the tensions, particularly in areas where we've seen more than 100 reports of anti-Semitic incidents in 15 months. There is some scepticism, though, within the Jewish community and some wariness telling politicians, hey, don't let your guard down on this, warning that that threat remains even if a ceasefire is effective.
There's a unique Australian complexion to this, James Morrow, highlighted by some comments that Julian Lisa has just made on Chris Kenny's program earlier tonight. Let's play that comment from Julian Lisa.
So I think the Prime Minister has to make it very clear, because those freed Palestinian prisoners, many of whom have committed violent crimes, are due to be sent to a third country. And I want the Prime Minister to guarantee to all Australians that he will not bring any Palestinian prisoner who spent time in an Israeli jail to Australia, because that will do nothing to make this country safer for all Australians.
James Morrow, this has to be a non-negotiable.
Well, absolutely it does. I mean, there was already enough community outrage, I think, over the hundreds, if not thousands, of Gazan refugees who were brought over, and all of the controversy over whether or not they had security checks or not, what sort of danger they might pose to the Australian community, and, you know, in fact, who indeed was asking for these people to come here and what constituencies were they trying to satisfy with that. The Albanese government has to rule this out absolutely firmly tonight, if not first thing tomorrow morning, and say, no, this will not happen. Don't worry about that. We simply cannot take anybody who's been involved with this. You know, if you look at the reports from Israel on this, many of these people, these are called security prisoners, and many of them are terrorists with real blood on their hands. We simply cannot have them anywhere near Australia.
Last year, Bill Shorten announced his retirement from politics. He did his valedictory speech. He was meant to go at the end of the next round of parliamentary sittings. I think he had 9 sitting days or something left, Cam. But he's abruptly left overnight. There's been an urgent reshuffle this morning from the Prime Minister. Some people are saying to me, this is pointing more and more to an early election. I'm interested in your take on that. And also, there's a Dutton reshuffle in the offing. What do we know there?
Yeah, there is. My house is still bet on April 12, but I've got the go bag or the go bag packed just in case we do go a little bit sooner than that, Peter. It's pretty much election watch from now, and there are still some people thinking, look, these 2 weeks in February, these sitting periods that are locked in may not happen. They're just there as a get out, just in case the government needs another chance to sell itself to the Australian people. But I'm still looking at April 12 for now. For now, I suppose in terms of the government, this is just getting its team ready to go. The team is set now, barring misadventure or some other catastrophe. So this is the team the PM will take to the next election. In terms of Peter Dutton, you're right, the one big chair that needs to be filled is who will take on the foreign portfolio from Simon Birmingham. There may yet be a broader reshuffle to replace someone in Paul Fletcher's role as well, given he's retiring too. So those are the two that Peter Dutton will have to work on. He said that's coming soon. I would expect that before Parliament sits, if it does indeed sit in February.